There's those childhood moments gaming with friends that will always stick with you. When it pertains to my life story, it was always discovering new NES games my buddy Jason would bring over for an afternoon hangout. Whether it was the Robot Masters in Mega Man or the zany cast of competitors in the likes of a Punch-Out, they piqued my interest from the very start. For others, you may be intrigued by the gameplay, art style, or the sound now emanating from your TV speakers. Whatever trance they place over you, it amps up from first contact, finding you tightly gripping the controls from the first go. For these reasons alone, they manage to get the job done, yet every so often you have the rare case where that retention rate dips, not captivating you the whole way through. Now, fast forward to the modern gamer, and you could easily see where the dip comes, especially when the content being put out just doesn't have that same creative engine powering it forward. And let's also state the obvious, we have a million different games at our disposal today, shuffling through them out of pure boredom, which may result in them only having a few seconds to hook you, and hook you in by means of a meaningful sit down, placing a solid attempt at an initial run. This is that very NES game I'm guilty of doing this with. When I finally invested the time to play through it, I would maybe play the first 3 areas at best, only to pick it up again several more times across the years and do the exact same thing. As a very young kid, I'm talking my earliest experiences with video games, I would tend to do this with really challenging titles, going as far till the game gave me enough anxiety from the more painful obstacles that came my way. However, in this situation, there was none of that fear of the unknown. In fact, by the time I got around to Blastermaster, I wanted that very challenge with all my games. As time crept forward, I would go through this endless cycle of playing half to 2/3 of the way through Blastermaster, only to put it down again. Was I bored? No, not really. Perhaps the backtracking? Possibly, but I also love RPGs and maxing out my inventory, so I don't know. One thing I do know is that I'm going to finally put that to rest today. Besides, a combination of witnessing this intro multiple times over, paired with having my own tiny green sidekicks growing up, no, not radioactive frogs, but box turtles and crested geckos, I can sort of relate to this dude in some ways. Plus, I had my own buddy Jason growing up during those critical elementary school days, so hopefully that's enough parallels to help me find a way to redeem myself today. So, for the 5th crack at this, let's break down these storied events once and for all to see just how Jason took on the alias of one Blastermaster. Although Blastermaster is a localized NTSC release of the Famicom original Metafight, I'm going to be pulling the lore from our North American manual along with my own personal spin on the original story adaptation to draw my own conclusion here, as today's story opens up to a young man known as Jason, whom appears to have a fond fixation for what looks to be the northern leopard frog. Fascinated by them, he decides to adopt one as a pet, whom he would go on to name Fred. One day while at home, playing peekaboo with his new playmate, Fred decides to take a leap of fate and escape his new cage, looking to find his way back to that good old pond life. Jason will give chase, proceeding to follow his sticky green sidekick, only to find he's tangled himself up with some sort of power generator labeled radioactive by the city. Not sure what type of work Jay does for a career, but perhaps some shady shit might be going down within his home. Nevertheless, witnessing poor Freddles getting roasted atop this giant toaster, an unexpected phenomenon would occur moments later, witnessing his little buddy beginning to mutate before his eyes. As Freddles quickly grew, the ground around the generator slowly gives way, causing the land surrounding them to cave in, creating a massive crater below where Freddles falls into. With Jason giving chase, he too would find himself tumbling down deep into this giant pit, which looks to have been here below his home for quite some time. As he surveillances his surroundings, the markings appeared to be carved out by an underground civilization, perhaps thriving as a result of the radioactive waste site decomposing before him. A byproduct formed from long-term use of this generator, now harvesting organic matter below ground, evolving over time from this waste, seeping into the many layers of Earth's crust, birthing a new civilization residing in the now hollowed Earth, led by an entity known as plutonium. Jason quickly lifts himself onto his feet, looking to trace the steps back from where he fell, only to now witness a giant metal rover towering over him with the name Sophie III etched along the side of it, an abandoned metal slug in a sense, left stranded with a spare uniform inside that just so happens to fit Jay snugly, quickly zipping it up and climbing on in as he fires this bad boy up for a quick test run. Now embarking on a rocky ride deep below ground in the all-new uncharted terrains in search of his long-lost companion, Fredos McFroglin. Okay, that's not his name, but needless to say, let's carry on. Blastermaster is a tale of two. As far as teamwork goes, it's you and your very own personal Knight Rider fighting the crime syndicates of the underworld. Well, that being the war on hazardous waste. Man, where's the Planeteers when you need them? It's an adventure that finds you switching back and forth between two dynamic gameplay styles. The first being your classic tried and true action-packed side-scroller, riding along in the all-new Sophie III, embarking on a variety of rich terrains carved out below. I couldn't tell you the fate of Sophie 1 or the Mach 2, but I sure will sell you on the latest model here we got on the showroom floor. The Mach 3 is a fully loaded package, equipped with a wide assortment of tactile weapons and customizable add-ons that makes this vehicle a customizer's dream. One that would have been at the top of any sports compact enthusiast list. Better yet, it gives those wacky customs on Pimp My Ride a real run for their money. The Sophie III on the surface fires on command with a sleek rotative cannon capable of firing up to 3 consecutive shots with a vast assortment of ammunition to protect you from all sides while guiding you through any and all obstacles before you. However, as muddy as the Mach 3 is, it will take some time to unlock its true potential, and you will often be required to leave her side to explore this brand new world. Outside your vehicle makes you prime pickings, so it's essential to navigate the land with caution, as the many mighty mutations aren't the only thing capable of crippling you, so place some emphasis on the physics and size your jumps accordingly, as leaps of fate must be taken with a bit of planning. So if you're looking to take that plunge, take into account when and where you are when traveling the lands, as they might lead you down a path you didn't prepare for, leaving you marooned without a way back home. While exploring on foot, you will find tiny corridors that open up to larger top-down play areas, introducing us to our second main gameplay feature. As you go solo with Big J here, these labyrinths double as your primary dungeons, a format similar to Zelda in a way, with areas which house a larger portion of your specialty weapons to soup up your ride. Big J moves in a sleek 8-way overhead approach, paired with his mighty blaster and bag of explosives attached at the hip, as he uncovers a slew of mighty power-ups coming in the form of radioactive capsules hidden throughout the many caves of wonders filled with raw materials needed to push this duo past their limitations. These capsules come coated in 3 varieties, so be sure to seek them out as needed to stay ahead of the curve. However, picking these up will be a joint endeavor, meaning that they can be acquired by both Sophie III or Big J when he's required to go at it alone on foot. When your defenses get low, keep them up by stocking up on power capsules, replenishing both Sophie III and Jason, depending on who acquired them. Take this into account upon whom you're filling the power source for. In the event Jason returns to Sophie III, he's getting a courtesy restock of his health by simply taking a load off in the cockpit. But if you're returning to a banged up ride, you still need a steady supply of power to get her looking brand new again. Hover capsules will be needed for Sophie III to take flight. Trust me, you're gonna need all the hover fuel you can get your hands on, because you'll be searching these lands from top to bottom, and you'll quickly find yourself running on fumes the moment your curiosity takes over. The gun capsules are specifically designed for Big J's blaster. Increasing your firepower is awarded in combat through enemy drops or while roaming the lands. Each capsule increases your gun's power level, which ranges from 1 through 8 on your blaster's meter. As those power levels rise, so does the speed, range, and variation of your ammunition. Be careful though, in the event you take damage on foot or in combat, your gun's power will take a hit, depleting in correlation to the severity of these injuries. But don't overthink it, you're gonna get banged up from time to time. Just know, as your blaster's power increases, these mutants will soon learn why they call you Blastermaster down here in these parts. A level 8 Blastermaster is a man you don't want to ever run into. With no functioning map or save feature, this is going to be quite a long adventure, so stay safe out there, and remember what I mentioned about physics here. Falling into a body of water or some sort of hazardous waste is essentially a death sentence. You aren't swimming to shore or kicking up enough traction to climb your way out of this mess. So keep the wheel steady while exploring the inner workings of these tunnel systems, recovering capsules as you lay waste to the many freaky foes you'll stumble upon. You will be relying on Sophie every bit as much as she relies on you. Did I just give this thing a gender just now? You both have abilities that will not only aid each other throughout this journey, but will be required to further progress, making you both together an unstoppable force. So, with that said, let's now hop back into our cruiser and see exactly what this Sophie III is truly capable of. While roaming the lands, you will come in contact with many scenarios that indicate you're missing something from your bag to overcome the obstacles presented. That's when you come to the realization this tanker is designed with a hefty assortment of tactile combat weapons, which makes this the all-in-one package. Sophie III is equipped with 3 primary offensive weapons, which require specific capsules found throughout, which may be fired dependent on the required quantities of each material. Finding the corresponding ammo pickups will net you the firepower needed to take down those opposing threats. Take the homing shot for starters, which locks in on even the most hidden of radioactive baddies. This can be done sequentially for a maximum of 4 on-screen targets, deploying 1 missile for each enemy, making their presence felt on screen. There's the segmented warhead, which breaks apart into 3 smaller missiles that fire in a straight line towards their target. They're much more devastating in comparison to the homing missile, with the trade-off being that these cannot lock on to enemy targets. Just be sure to put some thought into your strike upon firing. There's also the Thunderbreak, which is a powerful electrical ground attack emitting from below your tanker, an electrical surge that spreads out beneath your vehicle, supercharging those roaming beneath you by overloading their circuit boards for an explosive finale. Again, the Sophie III is a customizer's dream, able to be equipped with more gadgets than the old Inspector himself. It's got some sweet lock-on technology, similar to a favorite console of mine, only in order to do so, we must harvest these resources, so you're going to have to craft them straight from the source, that being these killer mutant slumlords dwelling in the deepest parts of the underground labyrinths. Defeating the generals that occupy each sector rewards you with auto parts for Sophie III. These upgraded parts will be vital to increase Sophie's firepower and mobility as you take this baby on a variety of off-road courses. Need access to the other side of the stone structure? Well, by upgrading your cannon to the Sweet Crusher beam, you'll do just that, breaking down the toughest of surfaces to proceed forward. So, whether you're looking to make a big splash on the waters or have your sights set high above the clouds, there's a part out there that will get the job done. You might need to climb that rocky mountain range, but you're simply struggling to do so. With the right chassis modifications, Sophie III's got you covered, allowing you to shift into overdrive, using that extra torque and traction to cling to the most rugged surfaces, racing up the walls or ceilings to reach your desired destination. It's the ride of the future, and one that won't break the bank over time, because it's one you built with the appropriate time and effort. You'll be good and ready for anything that comes your way, as no obstacle shall stand in your way from finding your frettles. Each area plays off the next quite well, designed with the utmost care, strategically placing your pathways in various ways that promote exploration. I might have a general idea where I need to ultimately travel to, but I don't mind taking a little detour off the main path. It never feels cumbersome to do so, ultimately rewarding me time and time again for checking out those smaller top-down sections, just lengthy enough to enjoy these rest stops filled with a large variety of various capsules to refill your reserves, thus putting me back on the road well prepared for the next big bad whom awaits at the end of this act. There's an emotional feeling of accomplishment that comes over you when clearing out each area, giving you the right amount of quality of life upgrades to entice you further to push past your breaking point as you dive further inside the great beyond, solving the bigger mystery presented to us. As I stated prior, it's easy to blow past certain stops along the way to your next destination, yet if you really give it some thought, this really adds an additional layer of challenge to this adventure, allowing you to essentially place your own demands on these exploits. Do you wish to take your time and soak up the experience here? Dissecting the many ins and outs of each area, seeking out what each one has to offer you? Or do you take a direct approach, going in a little depleted, with the trade-off being you're given a far more streamlined challenge? You're essentially rewarded through your play approach, and although there isn't necessarily a feature to keep track of your percentage of completion, it's still impressive to see this level of depth and care put into level design, especially for a game released in '88. I give a lot of the superficial surface gripes about this game a pass. A lack of in-game saves and a map feature wasn't common at this time due to hardware limitations, but I still agree, this can be absolutely crippling for the sake of time and sheer size of this package. Let's be real, most kids at this time weren't playing through this in one go unless they were on summer break from school or left their tiny toasters on overnight, which is something I never felt comfortable doing. For me, it generally happened on accident. So, I imagine many 90s kids didn't get the closure with this one, I being one of them. It's an amazing experience, but one which needs a few stops in between to rest up like any good road trip, because I can only imagine how long that chemical waste was harvesting in Jason's backyard. It feels as if the entire Earth's crust is somewhat inhabited, going through the seasons across the various underground regions, presenting us with literal climate change. Fear not, using those sweet new mods of yours, your take to the skies, exploring the other side of this new world, where we discover new life and new civilizations. We even stumble upon a colony of giant frogs. Could this be the frog? Our frog? McFreddles? Well, he doesn't look too happy to see us, quickly leaping over top of us while bouncing across the room, looking to position himself just right to gobble you up as he whips his massive sticky tongue your way. Poor Freddles, it appears by mutating he has lost his memory of our good times together. A long-lost companion turned rogue, just looking to play with his food a bit before satisfying his latest craving. Do the unthinkable here and put him out of his misery, as you must set your emotions aside. Perhaps the universe had bigger plans for you both. Godspeed, McFreddles. I'm sure he would have wanted you to save his homeworld. Soon enough, you'll go beyond these sewers to discover the ocean depths covered in tiny troopers patrolling the seafloor, looking to harvest resources to build their bite-sized militia. Keep your ammo locked in while your legs kicking, because you're just a little jay in an ocean of trouble, looking like a tiny brine shrimp ready to be eaten alive. With each obstacle overcome, you uncover new challenges layered in brand new themes, which will quickly put Sophie III to new tests as she goes all-range mode to navigate the icy tundra, praying you don't slide off course. You feel as if you're countersteering this beautiful tanker, finding a way to carve out these snowfields to leave your mark on the icy cold battlefields, scaling up and over these frosty micro-Appalachians till your surroundings warm up once again, and as they do, you're greeted to a few familiar faces. Different variations of enemies of old evolve to these climate changes, not only through radioactive mutation, but adaptive selection to bear the harsh conditions. Thus, you'll soon realize there are other McFreddles that live down here, which means there still may be hope to reunite with your old partner in crime. With Sophie III now fully built, it's time to take this baby to the center of the earth, going where no man nor machine have gone before. The interior structure feels as if you're navigating through the belly of a beast, as the walls around you start to feel almost lifelike. Structures we've seen in Java's domain back across our journeys in Operation Galuga. As you make your way to the heart of the planet, you find yourself soon swallowed up by the moment, as your surroundings bring forth a vile beast whom hatched below, looking to feast on this moment. As it attempts to break free of its brood-like womb, it begins to spit large organic egg-like projectiles into the surrounding chamber, large spherical projectiles that take a mind of their own, floating about the room. If you come in equipped for the task at hand, this will be a breeze, remaining locked in, aiming directly at the creature's cranium, which is periodically guarded, giving you tiny opportunities to deal some key damage between these waves. With enough patience and timing, your blaster will behead the beast, looking to free the planet from its killer grip. With the beast slain, the now hollowed earth begins to shake, bringing forth a dark presence that appears to have been puppeteering in shadows. The apparent ruler of this underworld, born of the chaos manifesting below. The Dark Lord marches towards you, a towering presence that proceeds to lunge forward without mercy. As he stampedes throughout, he will charge a series of attacks that come by his whip, which is his primary means to strike, now lashing out at you while parading about. As you give your all here in this final sequence, you'll come to the realization that something about this dude is awfully familiar, as if he came from another part of this Sunsoft universe we've recently come to blows with. You now dig down deep to channel your inner Uncle Fester, sending one last particle wave into this wannabe evil edgelord, sending him back to that shitty apartment complex in the middle of those Addams Family streets, giving him a taste of what a real blaster can do. Man, if only poor Uncle Fester could have gotten one of those models. Poor bastard. With the Dark Lord put to rest, the wound now inflicted on our planet quickly decays, allowing peace and balance to be restored as the withered surface world soon prospers once again, resembling a once familiar place which Jason called home. As he now reflects on his journey, he looks to be at peace as we are treated to a surprising reunion with our long-lost pal, whom just so happened to have hitched a ride back to the surface with the team to live out his days with whom he can now call family. This one was for you, McFreddles. May your legacy be passed on to the many tiny tadpoles that will thrive in this new beginning. Blastermaster is a perfect example of why innovative gameplay and design are the building blocks for a successful franchise. These fundamentals often become overlooked as time moves forward, which may play a key role in why so many companies continue to come back to the well time and time again. Many studios today seem to struggle with unlimited resources at their disposal, yet Sunsoft was able to find generational success with far less, honing their craft through the most finite set of tools, only to end up captivating us in ways which we had never seen before, adopting the early written rules of platforming while discovering new ways to incorporate in exploration, repackaging these concepts with unique design philosophies, fleshing out the genre further with innovative new gameplay mechanics. It's a title that is easily overshadowed in a library of all-time greats, while always right there in front of our faces. It's a game that's celebrated, but not touted in ways it maybe should be, and in my opinion, it's a centerpiece of this Sunsoft universe. Not their first successful work, or their finest, but a catalyst which I believe put them on the map, and you know what? This whole surge of mine for a face to run this place, well, maybe it's not a face at all. Maybe that title should go to the real star of today's show, the one, the only Sophie III. With that said, this concludes my very first Sunsoft marathon. I know it's not the most beloved group of games you've all come across, but as much as I enjoy the cult classics, I just as much enjoy those quirky Sunsoft ones bestowed upon us at this time. The more gimmicky characters, if I say so. Yes, psych! When it comes to Sunsoft, they were anything but a gimmick. They were franchise contenders that earned their claim to fame, a fountain of wisdom now provided to future generations that look to carve out their own legacy, to usher in their own cast of unique characters and IPs. So, for everyone that joined me here today, I want to thank you all for your time, and I bid you all a good... Huh? Wait, what was that? What do you mean we're not finished yet? We're missing what? I've covered the very best Sunsoft titles for the NES and Game Boy. What could possibly be just as good as this class of games?